Welcome to Once Upon a Crime, stories from the underbelly of faraway land, where not every story has a happily ever after. Tonight, scandal, crime, gossip, and the weather. I'm Libby, and I'm Victoria. Our first story. Who was afraid of the big bad wolf? The notorious villain is huffing and puffing after being arrested today, accused by the three little pigs of destroying two of their little houses. The pigs say that after Mr. Wolf was refused entry into the house of straw yesterday, fearing that he would eat the homeowner, that he deliberately breathed very heavily on the house until it fell down. He then chased the little pig to a second pig's home, which he also blew down, before hunting the two pigs to a third property. They are suing him for harassment and damages. But a lawyer for Mr. Wolf says his client was innocently out picking flowers when an attack of hay fever made him accidentally sneeze, blowing down the houses. The lawyer for Mr. Wolf says his client is the victim of negative stereotyping and media hype. The big bad wolf was in the headlines recently after eating Little Red Riding Hood and her old grandmother, who had to be hacked out of the wolf's stomach by a passing woodsman. Our reporter Morgan caught up with the bad boy in the county jail earlier today.
Thanks, Victoria. I'm here in Faraway County Jail with the infamous Big Bad Wolf. Mr. Wolf, you've been charged with the destruction of houses which didn't meet the Faraway Land building codes. How do you feel about these accusations?
Well, I was just taking a calm walk and picking some flowers outside the pig's house. But then, when I picked a flower, hay fever just struck, and then it made me blow down the house. It was sort of the pig's fault because his house was made out of flimsy materials.
So, you've been twice caught cross-dressing, once in grandmother's clothing and once in sheep's clothing. How has this affected your clothing, jewelry, and hip-hop label?
Well, a lot of media and people have been stereotyping me, which I think is very inappropriate. And I don't think it'll affect my labels because some people are different, and I think people should understand that.
So, what do you have to say to the good people of Faraway Land that think you're nothing more than a dangerous criminal?
What I have to say to them is that I have done nothing wrong, and the pig's house was just an accident because of my hay fever. And I think the people should understand that I am not a bad person and I have done nothing wrong.
Do you think that the pigs and Little Red Riding Hood will forgive you after what you did?
Firstly, as I have told you, I have really bad hay fever, and I think they should respect that and find it in their hearts to forgive me. And in the Little Red Riding Hood incident, I just wasn't in control and something just took over.
Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Wolf, and good luck with the trial. Well, back to you, presenter Victoria and Libby in the studio.
The trial of Golden Beauty Goldilocks went into its second day today. The Faraway Land Next Top Model contestant has been charged with breaking and entering and willful damage after a local family of bears came home from a morning walk in their forest to find their breakfasts eaten, a priceless antique chair was broken, and their neatly made beds were all messed up and vandalized. Goldilocks was caught by the police after she foolishly fell asleep at the scene of the crime. She has pleaded not guilty to the charges and says that the bears are frightening and smelly animals who should not be given the same treatment as people. The family of bears is furious, and some are worried that the trial is becoming an animal rights issue which could divide the population of Faraway Land. Now for more news of escaped kidnapped heroes, Hansel and Gretel, who the people of Faraway Land have taken to their hearts after their story captured the nation and caused a media frenzy. The youngsters have spoken out for the first time about their ordeal, which comes with the publishing of their new book, Blackbirds Ate Our Breadcrumbs, The Hansel and Gretel Story. Our reporter Joseph was at the book's release in the deep dark forest, the scene of their tragic, terrible story.
Hello, I'm Joseph, and with me in the very deep dark woods where they were left abandoned is Hansel and Gretel. How did your evil stepmother, now that your evil stepmother has passed on, how have relations changed between you and your father?
Well, Father's not trying to kill us for food anymore. and he feels like he doesn't have to work, so he's become somewhat of a couch potato.
Well, he's depressed because his wife died, and so I think he just needs to get another wife. So I guess he is back on the love hunt.
You're obviously very rich now, having found all the jewels in the old witch's house. How do you plan on spending all that money?
Well, first I think I'll buy a new leather lazy boy and then a few clothes for me and Gretel.
We also need to purchase some more bread, seeing as it all got eaten by the birds. I also need some more paper and a typewriter for my second Hansel and Gretel story. The blackbirds ate our breadcrumbs. The Hansel and Gretel story continued.
Hansel, you're back in great shape after being fattened up for eating. How did you do it?
Well, I spent 4 hours at the gym per day, and I ate a spinach diet, well, everything spinach for 6 weeks.
What advice do you have for other children? Should they be abandoned by their parents?
Well, never ever eat somebody's house. Instead, befriend some birds. So then the birds won't eat your food. And once you run out of your own food, you can eat the birds.
Yeah, and avenge us by eating those birds.
Well, thank you for your time, Hansel and Gretel. And good luck with your ongoing recovery. Back to you, Victoria.
For news of gossip and scandal, brought to you by Cinderella's Shoe Emporium. If the shoe fits, you can wear it at Cindy's Shoes. Our investigative snoops have exposed shocking hygiene practices behind the scenes at the Witch's Cauldron restaurant, where they found not only flies in the soup, but also unicorn wings, unicorn eyeballs, unicorn's toenails, and unicorn's tails. The restaurant has been temporarily closed. In showbiz news, Cinderella's ugly sisters have signed up for a new reality show called The Ugly Bachelorette, where would-be husbands compete for the love of the unsightly sisters. Contestants are proving hard to find, and so far there are none. And finally, there's a wicked whisper in the woods that all is not well with the marriage of celebrity couple Beauty and the Beast, which warmed the hearts of faraway landers last year. After failed plans to adopt a child from every continent and poor sales of their album of duets, sources close to the couple are saying that happily ever after might not last much longer. We go now to our entertainment and gossip reporter, Jonah.
Thanks, Victoria. And hello, everyone. I'm Jonah here in the beautiful mansion of Beauty and the Beast. And hello and smooches to you both. Now, you were a classic love story where two opposites met and fell in love in spite of your differences. How have your different backgrounds influenced your decorating choices?
Well, we both disagree on what the garden should look like. I think it should be a nice forest so I can walk about it every day and see what the animals are up to. Whereas Beast here wants to have a farm so he won't run out of meat or doesn't have to walk far to get some.
You two are polar opposites. Beast, you're a total beast. And Beauty, you're a beauty. Beast, what is the reality of living with someone who is completely different from you?
Sometimes we Sometimes we argue about where we keep our things, but I like to store my stuff in different places. Example, putting a biscuit can in toilet.
What will you do to keep your marriage secure?
Well, we thought about giving each other a bit of space so that we can get along a bit better. And also thinking of why that person has that idea and how it could be included in ours.
Your recent duet album did not sell well, and you haven't managed to adopt any orphans. And also, your fashion label has gone bust. What's next for you two lovebirds?
Sorry, that was my hair. I would travel around the world. I would travel around the.
Beast would like to travel.
I would travel around the world.
Beast. Sorry, I can't. Beast would travel.
You must have caught the laughing.
Sorry. You need to calm down.
Must have caught the laughing disease.
Beast would travel around the world so that he could go hunting, whereas I would like to set up a shop to help injured animals and help them if they are sick.
Okay, good luck for your marriage and thank you for your time. Hope you don't get the giggles and next time. And yeah, okay. Back to you, Victoria.
We now go over to Alexei with the weather update. Who will have the fairest weather of them all this week?
Ah, hey there. Well, the birds will sing until Tuesday. The deep, dark forest will be deep and dark all week, with occasional sunny stuff along the usual witchy stuff. Moving down the land, the green fields of the countryside will be turned snow white, wrap up warm if you're living in a house made of sticks, straw or gingerbread, because it'll be fee-fi for freezing. Finally, trolls living under bridges should find a beanstalk to climb up. Otherwise, it's a happy ending for the work week. The most of us, well, that's as far as I can see. Good day to you all. Back to the news with Victoria and Liberty.
Thanks, Alexei. Finally tonight, long-haired tower dweller Rapunzel is suing the Sleeping Beauty hair salon after her stylist fell asleep with a princess under the hairdryer. The result was a haircut so disastrous it threatens to ruin Rapunzel's career and reputation. Our reporter Liam is outside court where day one of the hearing has just wrapped up.
Well, hello there. I'm here outside court where the first day of the lawsuit has just finished, and here comes the Princess Rapunzel. How did you react when you saw what they had done to your hair?
It was a dreadful experience. I couldn't believe what they have done to my gorgeous hair.
Oh, Rapunzel, what do you want to say to the owners of the Sleeping Beauty hair salon that have ruined your hair and your career and your reputation?
Well, I would just like to say that those goblins will never lay a finger on my locks again.
What are you going to do with your hair? Can it be fixed?
Do you seriously think this can be fixed? I would need 20 lines of ink to fix this garbage bag of my hair.
How has the public reacted?
Whenever I walk... Whenever I walk around... Whenever I walk around in public, they look at me like I'm going to give them some sort of disease.
Thank you for your time, Rapunzel. And thanks for watching.
That's all for tonight's bulletin. Although we have just had word that the big bad wolf has escaped jail since our last interview and is hungry, angry, and on the prowl. Keep your doors locked, stay safe. From the whole team at Once Upon a Time, good night and kaki te ano.